Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 32 of the What the Hell Are We Doing podcast. And the amazing podcast, we're interviewing an amazing Twitch streamer. His name is Harvey. Welcome in, Harvey. How are you doing? Tell us about yourself. You're on mute.
Sorry. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So tell us where people can find you on Twitch and what you do.
I am a Twitch streamer. Where you can find me on Twitch is twitch.tv/HarveyLarvey. Last time I checked, I'm the only Harvey Larvey there, so it should be pretty easy to find. But yeah, I'm a what I would probably call a variety streamer. I do just chatting sections, but I also do a lot of gaming as well. So yeah, that's kind of the basis of what I do.
Sweet. So, what inspired your name, Harvey Larvey?
Uh, it's actually a really interesting story. I guess interesting, depending on who you ask. So if you're familiar with Post Malone or Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, essentially they got their names from rap name generators. So I thought, what the hell? I'll throw my stuff in this questionnaire, see what it spits out. So I decided to fill it out, and at the end, one of the questions was name a famous criminal. So I put in Lee Harvey Oswald, and what the questionnaire spat out, one of the answers was Harvey Larvey. So essentially, it picked Harvey, and then it picked a word that rhymed with it, larvae or larvae, depending on who you ask. So that's what I chose. I sent it to a few friends, and I thought it was funny. I thought it was a good joke. And then actually one of my friends, she put that as my name in her contact list. So I thought, well, I guess that now I have to adopt it officially. So I went around and changed all my names and whatnot. But yeah, it's something that I didn't come up with myself. Some random website on the internet that does rap name generators. That's where I got it from. So it's unique for sure. I can guarantee you nobody else out there has a name even close to that.
Sweet, that's awesome. So, what's your Twitch goal, and what also this is a two-part question. So what inspired you to become a Twitch streamer and influence others?
Well, it's been a long road to get to the point to where I wanted to be a Twitch streamer. I'll say that, and if I can condense it down to kind of a few bullet points. I think the whole thing for me was I didn't really find places where I felt like I belonged, whether it be in circles of friends or on the internet. Just trying to find people that were like-minded, people that wanted a safe place to be, but also were able to have disagreements, but to have also different ideas about what life means, different tastes in video games, different tastes in music, TV shows, what have you. But a place that everybody can kind of get together, be different, but also be a part of the same community. So for me, I wanted to make that because I never really found a place to fit in that was a place like that I felt comfortable in my own skin. I just got to the point where I felt alone. So I felt, why not just stream on Twitch? Why not try and see if this works? And then after a while, when I started to realize that I had some momentum going, I wanted to create that community for people. I wanted to bring people in that really felt like they had no place that they belonged. And to me, it felt like that was the whole inspiration of why I do what I do and why I started to do what I do.
Awesome. So, how long have you been doing Twitch?
So the timeline's a little bit muddy because I've been inconsistent and kind of gone up and down and went through some name changes and whatnot. I started live streaming on YouTube back in 2017 under the pseudonym Wild Bill Plays, which is a whole nother story, which is just a friend mispronounced my last name one time, or my nickname, I can't really remember, and I went by Wild Bill for years. And I did content creation over there on YouTube. So I streamed over there for, I don't know, maybe a year or so. Just really didn't get any momentum. And then I moved to do a project with a friend, which was Hammer Down, which was actually the start of Harvey Larvey. But me and this friend actually parted ways in the project. It didn't really work out or anything. We were trying to do like this podcasty news style format, and it just wasn't working for us. So we decided to part ways. So when I first started streaming under the name Harvey Larvey, I believe if my memory serves me right, it was at the beginning of 2020. So that would have been about January, February. So I've been on Twitch consistently since then, since January 2020. So what is that? About a year and 8 months around that time.
Harvey, do you ever want to become a professional streamer or a gamer or content creator with the amount of experience you've gained?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I didn't always feel that way though. I kind of started. It started as a hobby. It started as something that I thought I was good at, and something that I felt like I could do on the side for fun. And then momentum started to happen. Probably around when I hit affiliate back in October of last year, I gained some momentum, and people started coming in and staying. You know, it wasn't just a revolving door of chatters that were coming through, saying hi and then leaving. It was like we had a consistent amount of people that came in and stayed. And to me, that shows that I do have what it takes to do this. I'm not, I'll say this, I'm not dead set on it. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be crushed or anything, but I feel like it would be a shame not to shoot for it and to try and go for it someday. So yeah, I would say I would put it as already on the list of things that I want to do in my life.
Awesome. So this actually brings us to our next question. What was your motivation for streaming when starting out, and how has it changed, if at all, when you hit affiliated?
Originally, the idea was just to have fun and was to play with friends and have a good time. I wanted to create content, meaning because I'm a huge fan of certain streamers and content creators on YouTube. So I like what they do. Some of them are more comedic, some of them are more serious. I knew I just wanted to be that. That was the original inspiration for starting. And then as it moved along, I started to, again, fall in these circles of life where I felt like I didn't belong. I just felt out of place at all times. And it got to the point where I thought, you know what? We're having some people come through here. We've hit affiliate and we're building a community here. And to me, the goal no longer is to have stats on a sheet, to have numbers, to have followers, to have subs, that kind of thing. Although it would be really nice to someday be able to quit my job and do this full time, that's not the most important thing for me. The most important thing for me now and the goal moving forward is to build a community and keep building it and have a place that's safe for everyone to come and enjoy video games and to be here, all under one roof, be a part of the same common interest, but also be different and diverse. So moving forward, that's kind of the perfect picture that I have going forward. I'd really love to have a place that, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's everybody with all their different interests under one name, one roof. That's kind of the end game goal. Whether or not I'll get there, I don't know. It just depends on how much effort I can put towards it. But here's hoping.
Yeah, that sounds very humble of you, and that's a good that's something good to look forward to. But your next question is, what's something crazy that has happened to you while on stream, or something they didn't expect to happen?
Well, you know, you sent me these questions to kind of look over beforehand, and I was thinking about this, and I don't think I can single out one moment, because if this is going to sound really salesy of me for the stream, but I think there's stuff that happens on every single stream that is always unexpected. One of the things that I decided to add was sound alerts on stream. If you've ever watched, you'll know that they're very diverse. They range from sad music to happy music to the Roblox oof sound. So all of these are things that viewers can redeem by using their channel points. So one of them that I added was the song The Only Thing They Fear Is You, which is from the Doom soundtrack. And when somebody redeems that, number one, it's epic. It's an epic song, and it's very loud in my ears. So typically it's startling. And like when I was playing Resident Evil 7 recently, the fact that people decided to play it in really tense moments was extremely startling. You know, it makes you jump, it makes you shoot out of your chair. But then right afterwards, there's a sense of relief and comedy in it, because I love unexpected moments that happen like that get a genuine reaction from me. So that's one of those that I really enjoy, and I'm happy that I've added that, because it creates unexpected moments every time that we're live.
You're saying about your sound alerts. Actually, I was on your stream once, and I redeemed one of your sound alerts, your dance party sound alert. you mind to give us a little example
Oh
of
yeah.
what happens?
So essentially, there's a genre of music called, I mean, I don't know if it's slang for the genre or if it's an actual genre, but it's called like Slav Eurobeat. I'm sure you've seen the memes. It's very popular in the Russia, Ukraine area. Typically, when it plays, it's just kind of like a pump me up type music. I remember a friend of mine actually redeemed it while playing Phasmophobia. And again, these sound alerts are very loud in my head, so they're kind of startling at times. So hearing that while I'm hunting for a ghost is also the greatest thing and the worst thing you could possibly hear at the same time. But typically I'll just put my hands up and I'll just do a little dance just to kind of get us pumped up, you know, because if we're going into an epic moment or especially like Dark Souls, when I played Dark Souls 3 recently, people redeem that typically before a boss room. If you know anything about Dark Souls, you know some of those bosses can really really be difficult. So having something like that just before we go in is a truly magical moment.
This is not part of our questions, but like I've heard from the Dark Souls community that many of the Dark Souls game isn't the best. Dark Souls 2, in fact, isn't the best. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So I don't have a whole lot of experience with Dark Souls 1 and 2. I'll say that, and I know a lot of Souls fans could possibly come after me for that. But for me, my experience lies with Dark Souls 3. That's the one I bonded with the most. That's the one I felt like the combat really nailed a good balance of difficulty and responsiveness. And you see that in Bloodborne as well. Some of the later Soulsborne games, and I think even Sekiro takes from this and improves on it. It's a fluidity to the combat. What I will say is that Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1 and 2 feel very heavy to me. They feel clunky, and part of it is I think it's just a product of the time. I can't really remember exactly when I know Dark Souls 1 I think was 2007 or 2008, and then Dark Souls 2 was later. I think that had to be like 2010, 2011, around then. So you know, the evolution of technology and game development obviously impacts Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and those. But I know a lot of people don't like the linearity of Dark Souls 2. I know that there are a lot of people who champion the original Dark Souls as the Dark Souls game. But truthfully, I don't really hold a grudge against anybody. If you like one more than the other, there's no problem with that. I love Dark Souls 3 because of the moments that I've had in it. It's probably the game that I played the most in my Steam library. Just the combat, the lore, the story, and everything that culminates together to create what I would probably call the near perfect game. Is phenomenal. So those people out there, listen, if you like Dark Souls 3, if you like Dark Souls 2, if you like Dark Souls 1, like it, and don't it doesn't matter what people say, okay? If you like it, then like it. It's totally fine. Nobody's going to come after you. Nobody's going to come to your home and beat you up. It's totally fine. If you like Dark Souls 2, like it unashamed.
Nice. So this is a perfect segue to our next question. But, do you have any interesting stories about any retro games, such as like Metal Slug or, like you said, Sonic, maybe a bit of Mario?
Well, I know my first gaming experience was the NES. My dad had it, and he also had a Super Nintendo, but the NES was kind of what I cut my teeth on, essentially. So the idea was he basically sat me down on a stool in front of a small CRT TV, in front of the TV, and handed me the controller, and he said, "Go ahead." And I just played Super Mario Brothers, the original, and I had the Duck Hunt game was it was the combo pack between Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. So the I don't have the video. It's on VHS somewhere buried at my parents' house, so I can't pull it up, unfortunately. But basically, we all have our gamer poses, our gamer reflexes. You know, sometimes when I'm playing a particularly intense game, I'll lean very close to the monitor like this, and I don't notice it. It's just an unnatural, involuntary response. My thing was I was jumping in Mario, and I was raising one of my legs up every time I did it, and I had no idea, but my parents recorded this little special moment of this. I had to be like 2, 3, maybe 4 years old at the time, and I had no idea that I was doing it, and they showed it to me recently, and it was just funny to see how those involuntary things that we do when we play games carry over to our adulthood, even from childhood. So it was just a very funny and wholesome moment to see me just sitting there having the time of my life, but raising my leg up for no reason at all other than to try to make Mario jump over this gap.
That's very funny. um, so
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
so you said you played you told me the story beforehand. This story of you I believe you said Best Buy or Walmart, or you played the console version of Mario Kart or something, and your dad he no you see no you had cash to buy the NSE console. Then your dad came out. I don't know the whole story, but you know the story.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's this really, it's a moment that I cherish forever. Honestly, my dad passed away in December, so the memory just hits home even more. But I remember being so. Long story short, I had a PS1. The spindle broke, and the spindle is the piece, the little tiny piece. The disc sits on the spindle, and that's what spins it essentially. When I took it was NHL 98. I remember that was one of my favorite games for PS1 was NHL 98. I loved that game. I played all the time. I played as the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. That was my team. And I took the game out and the spindle came with it. And we tried to get it repaired and the guy basically said, "No, it's broke. You cannot repair this console. You're going to have to get a new one." It might have been one of those scenarios. I was a kid, so I wasn't really up on the story, but basically it could have been one of those scenarios where it was more cost to fix it than it would to be buy a new one. So we went to Toys R Us. Yes, Toys R Us, the store that closed down last year, 2 years ago. We went to the electronics section, fully intent on buying a PlayStation 1. So we walked in there and they didn't have any. And this was like maybe 2000, 1999, 2000, 2001. It was probably 2000 or 2001 because that's around when the PS2 came out. It was still relatively new at the time. And he took me in there fully adamant on buying a PS1. We looked around, didn't find one. They didn't have any. So I remember the display vividly. It was like a wall of games, and then they had like the top shelf where they had like the TVs with the demos playing and whatnot. But on the top shelf was all the boxes for the PS2s, and we were just kind of standing there looking at them. I didn't really think anything of it at the moment because I was just like, oh wow, PS2s, wow, I cannot believe that they have the new console. Because at the time that was it. If you didn't have a PS2, you were behind essentially. So we were just standing there looking, and without taking his eyes off the PS2, he just says, "Well, do you want a PlayStation 2?" And I was just like, yes. Yes, are you serious? And yeah, so he called the employee over and got a PS2 down from up there. And I'm just as a kid, there's nothing better than an unexpected moment like that. And you're remembering like the sheer disbelief that I'm going to be an owner, or at least my family's going to be an owner of a PlayStation 2, and I'm going to have all these new games to play. And that was just a moment. Like I said, now that he's gone, it's so much more impactful, but I will always cherish that memory because my dad had a huge impact on introducing me to games when I was a kid. So that moment in a Toys R Us electronics department, the fact that the store is closed now really kind of sucks because I can't go back there and relive that memory. But it's such a special moment, and he had like I said, such a huge impact on my early gaming days and introducing me and being able to give me the opportunity to play different games.
Did your dad ever watch you stream live on Twitch?
No, my parents. So my parents are relatively older. My mom had me when she was 40 years old. So my parents were always older parents, and weren't very tech savvy. My mom still owns a prepaid flip phone. That's all she has, and then they have a landline. So they never really got around to technology. I don't really. I mean, my mom may know that I'm on Twitch, but I'm not really sure because I usually just tell her I'd make video stuff, and then that's enough for her. Not that I don't want her watching it, but we were talking before stream about just some of the older generations and trying to explain to them if they're not up on it, like exactly the layers of the internet that you have to go through. Trying to explain to somebody who doesn't watch Twitch, and I see a lot of talk show hosts are really bad for it. They just basically say people play video games for money, which is somewhat true, but is not really the whole truth. You try to explain to somebody what Twitch is. The fact that I'm playing video games or chatting and people are subscribing, people are donating bits. It's something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to the older generation without those years of internet consumption to be able to understand why it's more significant than just playing video games. So To answer your question long-windedly, no, my mom probably does not know that I stream on Twitch.
um, Also, going back to another question you just made, the whole thing
Sure.
about people who do podcasts and everything, and the internet, and how people make money off of gaming. It also depends on how society looks at gamers and influencers. It's it's a whole different bubble of society, you know? Like we don't have a normal job, so to say. We
Mhm.
are just here to motivate and influence others to do and become their best selves. And have you
Yeah.
ever had a experience influencing others, like heart to heart?
Uh, so when you're small, when you're part of a small tight knit community, I hope this never changes because I don't want to ever become different than I am now because you see people all the time and trust me, this has something to do with my point here, but you see people all the time, they change from the point when they're small and more nuanced, and then they get bigger and they grow larger, they start making more money, they get sponsorships, they start collaborating with people, they just change who they are. I don't want to ever change, if I can help it, I don't want to change who I am at the basis. But the whole idea that I have now, and I've said this to everybody that comes through stream, anybody who has an issue, my Discord DMs are always open. There's nothing that's off limits. I mean, obviously within reason. You can't be sending me certain stuff, but I'll always be open for people if they have nobody to talk to. And the reason for that is I was one of those people that felt super duper alone. I know what it's like to feel like you're expressing your feelings to somebody, whether it be a loved one, a family member, a friend, or even a colleague, and them just not care or just blow you off. Or you can tell sometimes you're explaining yourself to somebody and you can tell their eyes just glaze over at some point and there's no understanding there. They're not listening to you anymore. They're just waiting for you to stop talking. So um, having so much experience with that side of life, I don't think I ever want to turn somebody away if they have an issue. If there's something that they're going through, I don't want them to feel alone. If there's something that's a huge problem and they feel like they have nobody to talk to, or if they need some advice on something, I'm there. I'm not all knowing. I don't know everything. I can't give advice on every subject, and I'm not perfect either. So there's things that I have to talk to people about. But it's very important for me to make sure that everybody who's a part of the community here knows that they're not alone, and there shouldn't be a day that goes by where you feel like you have nobody to talk to. Now, mustering up the strength to reach out to somebody is awkward. It really is. Even in today's day and age, where it's so easy to send a direct message to somebody. Back when I was a kid, if we had an issue with somebody, you had to call them. You had to call them, or if you didn't have a cell phone, you went over to your friend's house and you knocked on the door and say, "Hey, man, we got beef," and you either settled it with your words or your fists. And that was as tough as that is to say. And I'm not proud of settling issues that way, but that happened. And nowadays it's a lot easier and people have more resources to reach out to people like that. And I'm not a professional. Um, and I'm not a health professional. I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't always help people out, but if I can do some semblance of good in somebody's life and make if I can be that person for them, just to listen and provide some sort of feedback and tell them they're not crazy, tell them they're not alone, that's really enough for me. That's all I want. I've always said that our community, no matter how big it gets, I want it to feel small at the end of the day. I don't want people to feel like they're just a face in the crowd or a number on a follower sheet, because you're not that. Each one of these followers, each one of these users who pops through chat or Discord is a person. So I don't want to turn that away if I can help somebody.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. Yeah, that was very influential. um,
I'm just a guy who plays video games on the internet, right?
yeah. So now let's get to your more creative questions. Let's go ahead and list your favorite beers, from best to worst.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it's easier to start with the ones that I don't like. First of all, I have no idea why Bud Light is still so popular, or Natural Light, or Keystone Light. I know they're cheap, I know they're cheap, and it's just a vehicle for alcohol at most people's point. But those I cannot stand those. I just think they have no flavor, and if they do, it's not good either. Um, Personally, some of my favorite ones are I love Blue Moon. I think Blue Moon is probably my favorite, and I wouldn't say that it's my all-around favorite because it's very difficult sometimes to find beers at regular restaurants because you may like something specific but they probably don't have it. So as far as domestic goes, I really love Blue Moon because I think it pairs nicely with like an orange slice. You just toss that in there, squeeze some orange out, and you have a really good wheat beer. But as far as beers go, typically wheat beer is excuse me, typically wheat beer is probably one of my favorite types of beer just because I think it's very full. I can only really have one because it's very bloating because it's very heavy. But I love wheat beers. One of them actually, probably one of my first experiences with like good beer was my wife and I and our two friends. We were at Disney World and we were in the like international section. So we went to the German part, and we went to the like the concession stand or whatever you want to call it, where you can eat. This is long before COVID, by the way, so this is probably like 2015 if I can put a year on it. But we went there, and I was looking at the menu, just trying to decide what in the world to get because I just wasn't sure what they had, what was good. And then I saw they had one called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. I've drank it for years, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's called Schafferhofer, and it's grapefruit beer. And it's a Hefeweizen with grapefruit in it. So it's a very fruity beer, but it's super duper smooth. So when I got up there and I tried it for the first time, I was blown away because it was incredible. So this is typically sold at grocery stores. So if you need a recommendation from me of something outside of just your normal stuff, Schafferhofer is great. You'll see it. It's distinctively orange in its packaging and its color. They sell it in clear bottles, so you'll be able to see it that way. But that is probably my favorite in terms of just ones you can buy off the shelf.
Sweet. So here's a little reference from yesterday's podcast. The same question. So yesterday we had a little interview with Sky Blur, another Twitch streamer, and I think he said he had like Blue Moon, and he mixed Blue Moon with whiskey. That didn't sit well with him. What are your thoughts on mixing alcohol beverages with like other type of like sodas or I don't know whiskeys? What are your thoughts on that?
I guess it just depends on the person. You're probably asking the wrong person because I'm typically just a straight beer drinker. I don't really veer off of that because I don't really like hard alcohol, but some mixed drinks aren't bad. I typically float towards the fruitier things. One of the things that one of my friends and people tried to recommend to me was Jack and Coke. Jack Daniels, Coca-Cola, they're like, it's the iconic combo. So I tried it and I was like, this to me just tastes like bad Coke. I'm sorry guys, I just don't like it. So I typically try to stay away from those, but look, if it floats your boat and it's good and you can handle it within reason, I say go for it. But yeah, I'm typically not a mixed drink guy. I wouldn't say I'm boring, but it's mostly just beer for me, just straightforward stuff. And I'm not really a hard liquor guy either. So like whiskey and vodka, things like that, I really don't partake in if I don't have to.
So let's continue with your more questions. So how many calories does Blue Moon have?
You know what? I forgot to look this up, but I actually don't know. It's probably a couple hundred at least, if I can guess. I know it has a lot of carbs though, because it's if you think about like Michelob is 95 calories. I don't even know how many carbs are in it, but it's a very low amount of carbs. That's typically Michelob is one to because I forgot to mention earlier. Michelob is probably one of the ones that I drink the most in terms of the, like light beers. I think a lot of light beers are pretty disgusting because they just are flavored water essentially. So Michelob, I know if I can reference that one, I know that one's 95 calories, but I know that's a non-answer to the question you asked, but hey.
So what's the best beer commercial you've ever seen on TV or even on Twitch?
I don't know if I can think of a particular one, but I will say Bud Light always, as terrible as their beer is, I think that they have pretty consistently good commercials year after year. I think they did the one that was the Dilly Dilly stuff. I think that was them. I don't know if that was them or not, but that one sticks in my mind quite a bit. Usually, if you're around Super Bowl season here in America, you can pretty much count on Doritos and Bud Light and Mountain Dew to have some pretty good commercials, and Bud Light usually knocks it out of the park pretty well. So they may not have good beer, but their commercials are pretty good.
So going back to your question at the beginning about COVID, how did COVID affect
Okay.
you in your personal life? Did you see anyone around you get sick? Did you get sick? Tell us about it.
I never got it. Thankfully, I was never one to experience it, and I'm very thankful for that. Outside of that, I mean, there were some people that I worked with that I encountered that did get it. All of them pretty much had, I wouldn't call it light symptoms, but it was mostly just a day or two of hard symptoms. Most of them just kind of felt run down. And then how it impacted me, I feel like I don't want to say I'm an outlier to COVID and stuff, but life really didn't change that much for me with COVID. I'm an introvert. I'm a homebody, so I don't really go out in the first place because I don't really have much of a life outside of Twitch and whatnot. My wife and I are pretty boring people. We stay at home quite a bit, but yeah, it didn't really impact me that much. I would say, if anything, it did impact me as far as Twitch goes, and it kind of gave me more time and almost eased it in my mind that I was spending so much time on the internet and spending so much time dedicated to this, because what else was there to do when things were shut down and restaurants were closed or at very limited capacity, so there really wasn't much you could do. So for me, it only enhanced those introverted and homebody perspectives. So I just stayed home even more. I don't really think there's anything that because even at work, our job can be, I work in IT, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but I work in IT, and a lot of our work can be done remotely, and a lot of the people that we supported got sent home anyway, so we're supporting them remotely. So there's not much that changed in terms of work either. So it was almost business as usual, just wearing a mask essentially if I ever went out. So yeah, I wish I had some sort of humongous impact story, but I just don't. It's when you're an introverted gamer who stays at home a lot, there's not really a whole lot that COVID affects.
All right. So, more about COVID is how did COVID affect your Twitch, your TikTok, your YouTube? Not sure if you do Facebook, but your Facebook. Did you see an influx in viewers coming in, coming out? How did your mental health affect you throughout COVID? Is there anything you want to add on besides those questions?
I mean, I think it affected us all. Those of us who dwell on the internet and use the internet as our entertainment. I think that was, I don't want to say it was an advantage, but it was definitely a perk of being somebody who is easily entertained alone. Gamers, people who watch or consume copious amounts of TV shows and movies at home, those type of people just got to do more of what they got to do. So for me, it almost like it heightened those senses. And then there was a bunch of people that started streaming on Twitch. I mean, you saw famous people all over the world start. I mean, I'm a big Formula One fan, so you started to see a lot of Formula One drivers stream on Twitch, which was just unheard of. They created whole virtual events around these people, and as a streamer, you did see, I felt like, at least, you did see people who were in lockdown, who were at home, and they were looking for something to watch, and they would come through. So me as a smaller streamer, I wouldn't say that I saw a huge influx of viewers, but I will say that Twitch across the board seemed to see a huge increase in not only visibility, but viewership across the board, no matter who you were watching. So COVID was obviously it was a terrible thing that happened, but it put a spotlight on live streaming that I don't think really could have ever happened had it not been for COVID. I don't think that it was a world changer or anything in terms of the live streaming world. Obviously, outside of live streaming, COVID hit everyone. But in terms of live streaming, it'll never be the same, almost, as I feel like, somewhat.
I also want to add on to your question. So I did see
Sure.
a couple new faces on Twitch, such as Jack Black and other big name actors, celebrities. and the whole like box office and movie making whole thing. It also got big hits, so like people had to find new ways. Also, I believe Tom Cruise, he also found new ways to make his productions and movies. But like movies in general found a new way to create their own content and bring in new actors. I'm not sure if you read about that in an article, but like yeah, so everything related to making and producing and influencing others got canceled in a big way throughout COVID.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it really did.
Yeah. So your next question is about your IT, like you said.
Okay.
Tell us about your IT job.
So I'm not. I'll say this right off the bat. I'm not a traditionally trained IT person. I don't have a degree. I don't have certificates. I'm not like on the path to a cybersecurity job that pays me millions of dollars every year. So if there's any IT professionals out there watching, I'm low level, but that doesn't mean what I do is not important. I work for a company that contracts for a military contractor. So essentially what I do is it may sound basic, but the workload is a lot at times. So I'll install peripherals like hard drives, RAM, GPUs, and then I'll solve issues with the network connectivity on somebody's asset. I can't really control the network itself. That's controlled by somebody else. But essentially I'll try and make sure that their computer is up and running from our end before I push it up the ladder to somebody higher. So yeah, it's mostly about user support and making sure that their machines are up and running. And if they need anything installed, we do that, save for a few things that are kind of off limits for us. But I got my job through a friend of a friend, and I have no formal IT experience. I have no certificates. I have no degrees to my name. I'm a hobby PC builder who has an interest in technology and IT. And I tried to display that as much as I could in the interview, and shockingly, they said, "Okay, sure, we'll take you on." And here I am, over 2 years later, working the same job, which is amazing to me, and it's such a huge blessing because we moved from Ohio to Arizona, and I didn't have a job lined up. And actually, I did have a job lined up that ended up falling through because they didn't call me back, which was really frustrating because they promised me a job. But thankfully, funny enough, that was going to be a janitorial job because that's what I was before I was an IT professional. And I know that sounds like a crazy jump to be washing toilets to cleaning somebody's hard drive. That's a humongous jump, but I'm very glad it worked out that way. And I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to work in IT and be able to have that opportunity to get into a field that is vastly growing and is very vital to carrying out businesses' daily operations.
Do you do any programming? If so, do you know any like TV shows? You typically see those like type of programmers who instantly know what they're doing. Do you relate to those type of shows? And is that like kind of factual, like kind of true to what you see on TV?
I'm not a programmer. I don't really write scripts or anything. I don't know HTML. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know, part of that is tough for me to admit because I know that a lot of that stuff is very important, but it's just not relevant to my job, so I don't know it. I do feel like if you're looking at TV and movies and whatnot, there are so many factual inaccuracies to how IT works and how hacking works, and there is no I'm in moment. You see so many people that will smash a keyboard and their fingers are going crazy. And then all of a sudden they're just like, I'm in. And I'm like, that's not how that works, pal. There's so many layers of security you have to get through. There's no like one moment where it just all clicks. But again, I'm not a cybersecurity expert, so I can't say exactly how that looks. I just know that when I see people on procedural dramas do that's not how that works. And I've seen, I fall down the TikTok rabbit hole quite often, unfortunately. But there was one scene that I saw where somebody was saying that they needed a bigger hard drive for their computer. And in their hand, they were holding a power supply, which if you know a hard drive and you know a power supply, those two components look vastly different. And again, I'm not here to just crap all over TV shows and tell them they're doing it wrong, because at the end of the day, the average viewer is not really going to care about that. But for me, sometimes it does make me cringe watching TV shows and seeing IT get taken way out of proportion over what it actually is like.
Awesome. So now let's go to your NASCAR questions. Something that you really
Okay.
enjoy. So,
Sure.
what do NASCAR drivers eat before they actually go onto the track?
It just depends on who you are. I mean, if you think about it, if you let's take a road trip into account here. So if you're going on a 4-hour, 3-hour road trip, what do you eat before you go on a road trip? You really don't care what you eat before you go on a road trip. You're just trying to fuel up a little bit and curtail that appetite so that you don't get hungry on the trip. Now, if you take that road trip car and you seal the door shut once you get in and say, no, you can't get out, no bathroom breaks, you cannot stop at a gas station. Well, you stop at a gas station, but you don't get out. Somebody fuels your car for you, then you go. That's essentially what you have to picture in your head if you're a NASCAR driver. So if you're trying to eat properly, number one, most likely these guys are eating like protein bars or Cliff bars, some sort of thing that's high in protein and fats that's going to give them the fuel they need to survive a 3 to 4 hour race. Because most people, I think, misunderstand that it's not just pushing down the pedal and turning left. You're sitting in a car with very minimal air conditioning that gets up to 150, sometimes 140 degrees on the worst of days. On, say, a Las Vegas summer day, it's going to get extremely hot in that car. So you have to think about what to eat beforehand. But it's all about hydration while you're in that car because you're losing a lot through sweat. It's like being in a workout for a very long time or going on a long run. You have to make sure you hydrate because otherwise you'll get weak and you'll pass out. But I feel like a lot of them consume, again, protein, lots of healthy fats and things to kind of fuel their body throughout the entirety of the race because there's not really much you can do inside the car. You have water bottles, you have straws that you can connect to your helmet. You can do those types of things, but save for reaching in a little compartment that's on the driver's side door to get maybe a Cliff bar to shove up under your helmet and hope you get it into your mouth. There's really not much you can do.
So you actually brought us to our next question. Do NASCAR vehicles actually
Okay.
have air conditioning?
They have what's called a cool box. So somebody could probably explain it a lot better than I'm about to, but essentially what it is it's a box that cools the air, and they have a tube that's on the very top of their helmet, and they'll clip that tube into the hole that's on the top of their helmet, and it blows cool air. It's not like air conditioning where it's ice cold. It's cooler air that's circulating through the helmet. Some drivers will have there's like a rib cage insert that you can get a tube in there, and you can run a separate tube into there to try and get some airflow. But in reality, there's no air conditioning in these cars. Anything to save weight, any motorsport you look at, they're going to try to save weight anywhere they can. So if taking the air conditioning out saves several hundred pounds, then they're going to do that. And unfortunately, the driver has to pay the price and deal with just basically air circulation, if you can imagine. Some of the tracks, they'll take out the passenger side window to allow more airflow through the car. And then on the driver's side window, there's never a window, there's only a window net. So there's a bunch of air flowing through there. But again, if it's a hot Las Vegas summer day or a Phoenix day, the air outside's not going to be very pleasant. So all it's really going to do is move the air around. But if they could, they really need to work on it because the temperatures that are inside some of these cars are extremely hot and very dangerous. And there are a lot of accidents where some of the crush panels in the rear that seal off the cockpit, if they get damaged, all that hot air from the exhaust, or not all of it, but a lot of it is going to enter the cabin, so it gets even hotter. So you're talking about sauna-like temperatures while in a car for 4 hours. So it can be really miserable for those guys. And I think a lot of people don't think about that, but I think NASCAR is doing a good job of having the in-car camera with the thermometer attached to it. Which is nice for bringing attention to just how hot it can get in those cars.
So who are your favorite drivers you look up to or like watching while you're watching NASCAR drivers?
Well, I grew up a Jeff Gordon fan. My dad was a Dale Jarrett fan, and a Dale Earnhardt fan. So I naturally gravitated towards the younger guys. My dad was he liked the older drivers and the ones who had been around for a while. So it was always an interesting rivalry because I liked the younger guys. He liked the older guys. It was very funny going back and forth and whatnot. But Jeff Gordon was my guy from since I can really remember, all the way up until he retired about 2016. He officially retired in 2015, and then in 2016 he came back to fill in when Dale Earnhardt Jr. had his concussions. Jeff Gordon was my guy for the longest time. Then I shifted to a guy named Trevor Bayne, who actually won the 2011 Daytona 500 in one of his first starts at the age of 20, I believe. So it was really cool seeing him do that. He never really amounted much in NASCAR, but I think that was more to do with the team itself. Currently, the guy that I root for, well, I root for two guys. One guy who's actually from Arizona, where I live, Alex Bowman. He drives the number 48 car. He replaced Jimmy Johnson this year in the number 48 car. Number one, he drives the best looking car on the racetrack, and number two, he's a local boy, so I really support him, and I think he's a great guy too. So there's Alex Bowman, and then the other guy that I've been supporting for a while now is Corey Lejoy. He drives the number 7 for Spire Motorsports. It's a smaller team. I like rooting for the underdogs. I'm not a huge fan of rooting for the guys who win all the time. I like to see those Cinderella stories pop up front every now and again and get good finishes. So to me, it's way more interesting rooting for somebody who finishes below 10th, and seeing them finish well is such a bigger excitement than rooting for the guy who wins every single race or is up front all the time. You know, you love to see guys do that, and you love to see guys succeed, but too much success can be a bad thing in some cases. But yeah, that's kind of I know that's a specific rundown, but again, being a huge NASCAR fan, I felt like I had to explain it so everybody knew exactly where I stood.
And have you ever been to a Daytona race in person? Before COVID, of course.
So the shocking thing is I've never been to a NASCAR race before. So when I lived in Ohio, I lived in Southern Ohio, I lived in Cincinnati, and the closest speedway was Kentucky Speedway or Indianapolis. Indianapolis, they held that race at the time in August on metal bleachers. So I was not about to sweat for 3 or 4 hours and get sunburnt and have a miserable time. I was not about to do that, so I never went. And Kentucky Speedway always put on a boring race, so I wasn't going to go there either. Now that I live in Arizona, I'm very close to Phoenix, so I plan to go to a race there sometime over the next couple of years. But trust me, it is not a great fact that I haven't been to a NASCAR race, but I plan on going soon. It's one of my bucket list items for sure.
Awesome. So I'm not sure if you have the answers to this question, but do you know why NASCAR vehicles go on the track counterclockwise, or why they race, counterclockwise?
So the answer, I think this is what the answer is. Somebody out there may be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole I went back to saving weight a while ago. Well, something NASCAR teams are also trying to do is save money. So if you're designing a car, these cars are designed to turn left. And what now with the current generation car, this could change. But in my opinion, these teams don't want to design a car that goes left and right. So essentially you have your road course cars who are built to turn left and right and go around a road course. Essentially, a course like Watkins Glen or Sears Point or Infineon, I should say, or Circuit of the Americas in Texas. They're cars that are set up to go around those circuits. When you're setting up a car for an oval, you're setting it up to turn left, and how the air flows over the body, you have to design the car to do that. So these engineers more than likely don't want to design a car that has to go right as well as a car that has to go left. And I know that sounds odd for most people, but if you look at cars, if you look at certain camera angles when they're going down like the back straight, they look like they're crab walking because they're kind of pointed in towards the corner. They look like they're going sideways down a straight, which sounds crazy, but they have it set up that way because when you get to the corner, it handles much better if you do that. So again, if you're thinking about having a race at a track that goes the other way around, you're going to have to design a car that goes left, a car that goes right, and a car that is for road courses. So the amount of money and research and development and wind tunnel time that would take is probably just too much. Now, would I personally, as a fan, like to see them go around the other way? Yes, I would. I think the amount of variety needs to be increased in NASCAR tenfold. We want to see everything out there because that proves who has the best car, who's the best driver. I think having variety is great, but from a cost standpoint, I just don't see them doing that. I would love to see it. I'm with you. I think it's great that if they would go around the other way, just as long as you don't have cars going the opposite way on the same racetrack, because that's essentially what I experienced playing NASCAR games with my friends when I when I was younger, somebody would get behind and get frustrated, so they just turn around and go backwards, and then they would just run you head on. That's what we don't need. But if all of them are going the other way, then I think that works.
Awesome. So you're a big NASCAR fan. Have you ever played any NASCAR F1 games on your Twitch? Or do you plan to?
I played F1 2019 once or a few times on my Twitch channel. I played it last year, I believe. And the difficult thing for me is that I find playing those racing games on a controller, unless they're an arcade game, I find them not really satisfying, because you don't have a whole lot of control over which direction the wheels are pointing, the throttle, the brake, even the shifting. It just feels different. It's much more natural if you have a wheel and pedals. So someday when I get my wheel and pedals and I get my racing simulator, so to speak, something cheap, because they're very expensive. I hope to get something cheaper, on the cheaper end. But if I can get something like that, then I probably will integrate it in some way, shape, or form. But until that point, I really don't plan on doing that. Which is sad for me to say, because as big as a racing fan I am, I find playing racing games on a gamepad or controller just not really fun for me, unless they're an arcade game, which I have played. There's a game called Wreckfest, which is a really fun game. It's a game that it's like a demolition derby racing game. It's great. It's fantastic. Anybody out there who's never played Wreckfest, that's my recommendation today. Go play Wreckfest, because it's a lot of fun. But you can play that on a gamepad and not feel like you're missing anything. So that's one of the games that I did play, and it did really well. We've taken a break from it recently, but Wreckfest is definitely one racing game that I've played extensively on stream.
And have you ever got into like Need for Speed or Dirt Rally?
I played Dirt 2 and 3 back in the day. Those are the two that I got into. I played Dirt Rally a little bit, but I couldn't really get into it. Again, they're getting closer to simulation driving, so when you're playing on a gamepad, it's just not the same. You're not going to have the same speed as you're going to have playing with other people online who have that equipment. Need for Speed, I haven't played in, gosh, the last one that I played regularly was Need for Speed Underground 2 back in 2004 on the PlayStation 2. So it's been a long time since I played a Need for Speed game. As much as I would love to return to that franchise, I just don't really like what I'm seeing nowadays. Here's hoping that it gets better, because I would love to see that franchise get back to what it used to be, which was great arcade racing. But nowadays, it's not really what it used to be. So I haven't really played them in a long time.
Sweet. So going back to your Twitch question is, what are some recent games you played on your Twitch, or what are some games? Two-part question. What are some games you plan to play, or future content you want to make on your Twitch or YouTube?
So I just finished up Resident Evil 7 not too long ago. That was a fun one. That was one that was actually fan voted. It was between either Outlast 2 or Resident Evil 7, and our audience voted Resident Evil 7. And I had a lot of fun with it. Some of the boss battles were extremely frustrating, and a lot of my community got to see me get mad on stream for the first time, because I don't get mad very often, but when I get frustrated by a boss fight, that's typically when the claws come out and you start to see what angry Harvey looks like. But some of those fights were tough, but we got through it together and we had a lot of fun, and it was a good story. It was a good game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. We've also played Tales from the Borderlands. That was a fun time. I've played through that game twice, I believe, before I played it for the third time on stream, and with it just being released recently within the last year back on Steam, because Telltale went under and then they took the game off of the Steam marketplace. So having it back there, I figure, was the right time to play it again. So Tales from the Borderlands, again, great game. I enjoyed that very much. Moving forward, I plan on playing, there's a game called Chernobylite that just came out. I believe it was really, now that I'm doing more research about it, I believe it was just released outside of early access. I think it might have been in early access before this point. But I plan on playing that actually starting tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time is when that starts. But I plan on playing that game here for the future. Also, a game that I'm returning to, again, is Hunt Showdown. If I can make another recommendation, it would be Hunt Showdown. I think a lot of people just don't know about this game, but it's a raid-style battle royale game set in the, like, I would call late 1800s, early 1900s Louisiana Bayou. Essentially, you go in with what gear you have, you hunt monsters, you collect the bounty, and you leave. The only problem is you're also fighting other monsters and other players at the same time. So it's a very tense game. You use old school weapons, old revolvers, single action rifles, and breech loaders and whatnot. So it's very interesting and cool take on a game. And for those who like Escape from Tarkov, I think it's a great alternative from that is not quite as punishing, because Escape from Tarkov to me is worse than Dark Souls in terms of punishing, so I don't play that very often. But Hunt Showdown is a great entry-level game to the raid style genre that I'll probably be playing at least semi-regularly moving forward on the channel, but I really enjoy that. One game that I really and this is probably the last one I'll mention, but one game I really want to play, and I'm still trying to figure out how to implement it, is Fallout New Vegas. Now, Fallout New Vegas on consoles is a decent experience. It really is. It's good. It's pretty solid. It performs decently well. On PC, however, it is quite a mess in terms of the bugs, the glitches, the crashes, the frame rate drops, the frame stuttering. It is kind of a nightmare to get working. I've spent the last couple of months working on it tirelessly with different mods trying to fix it, and I think I've got it to the best it's going to get on my system, where it'll go anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes without a crash, which I asked my audience on stream, and I'm holding them to this. They said they wouldn't mind watching it even if it crashes a little bit. So that's probably something I'm going to implement here in the future. But yeah, I've installed so many mods on that game. Not really anything to make it look pretty, but it's mostly just to get it functional. So Fallout New Vegas is one of my favorite games of all time. Probably second to Knights of the Old Republic 2, which is another great game that I'll probably play again sometime. That game, I love that game so much. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas, if it'll work, I'll play it.
So you seem to like a lot of survival games. Have you ever played The Long Dark? It's a Arctic survival game. You have? What are your thoughts on it?
I have played it. I haven't played it on Twitch before, but I have played it. I started playing The Long Dark in early access when I wasn't a PC gamer, when I was still on console, and then I started playing it on PC as well. I love The Long Dark. I think it's a very interesting survival game. I think it's really, really cool too how long they've supported that game, and they've kept on adding to that game. If you look at the art style and the graphical fidelity from day one to now, it's changed huge. And I think what Hinterland is doing over there with that game is phenomenal. That's another game, just like Hunt Showdown, that I feel like a lot of people don't really know about and don't play that often. But if you're looking for a new survival game set in a radioactive, not really radioactive, but a disaster-stricken Canada, snowy wilderness, that's another one. That game is brutal too, because you're walking around, you've got a rifle that barely works, and then you stumble upon a bear and you have to try and fight it off while simultaneously worrying about your hunger, your temperature, frostbite, things like that. It's such a good game. I love The Long Dark, and I think more people should play it for sure.
So going back to your question is, if you could stream with anyone famous, any actors, any celebrities, any singers, like, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Shawn Mendes, who would you stream with?
Well, I've thought about this question because I feel like it's a long list for me that I would have to narrow down if I only got one choice. For me, somebody that I've really come to like over the last decade or so, just from his performances in movies and just seeing his personality. For me, Jake Gyllenhaal would probably be like my number one. I love that guy. I think he's fantastic. Everything that I've watched him in, he gives 100% in every single role. And he's also an extremely down-to-earth guy from what I can tell from all the interviews and just outside of acting interactions that I've seen him. Him and Tom Holland's relationship is super funny to watch too. So I've really grown to like him a lot. And I feel like if he were to ever stoop to my level and play video games with me, I don't know how it would react, first of all, but second of all, I think it would be a whale of a time. I think it'd be fantastic just to sit down and introduce him to the world of video games and have fun with him.
Awesome. That's a great pick. So, what are some funny moments or like comedic moments you've had on Twitch while live?
I mean, I think it kind of points to what I said earlier, where I always have options for people to redeem things. Something that it, without like getting into the lore of it, because it's a very sacred subject on our stream. But wide larvae is one of our channel point rewards, and it's something that pops up from time to time. I'm not going to go into wide larvae because his lore would take literal weeks to explain, and even my brain doesn't comprehend some of his stuff. So, but if I can go into how he was conceived on my end, so are you familiar with the wide Putin meme?
Yeah,
Where he's
yeah.
walking down the hallway and he's very wide, and Song for Denise by Piano Fantasia is playing. So I had this 5-second idea. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a wide redeem. I'm going to stretch my screen and I'm going to throw it up on Twitch. I'm going to make it a channel point reward, and we'll see if anybody does it. It has to this day been the most redeemed thing on Twitch since I started. And it has been just a hilarious thing. All it is me in front of a green screen stretched to the max and dancing in front of the camera and doing my best wide Putin impersonation. And it is funny every single time. And the best thing that happens is usually when new people come in and they decide to watch for the first time, and somebody redeems it, and it's like they're experiencing it for the first time, and they're always like, what in the world have I walked into? And I'm like, well, you've walked into wide larvae. That's what you've walked into. And people just get to experience it for the first time, and they're like, well, I'm glad I stayed for that. Now my night is forever enhanced by have witnessed this. So I wish I could perform it for you right now, but I don't have the software all set up. But it is definitely one of the most consistently funny moments that, honestly, like I said, took me 5 seconds to make. And it has been the most fruitful thing and the most comedic occurrence on stream consistently.
Nice. So, what's one thing you would tell yourself before you started streaming that you now know that you didn't know before you started streaming? So, what advice would you give yourself to start up this question?
Okay. Yeah. That's a difficult one because there's a lot. But if I know me, if I'm talking to me, I need to be direct and concise. So if I could be that for myself back when I first started, I would just tell myself that you're building a community. Don't look at the numbers. The numbers are not important. It's the people that are important. And I know that sounds probably cliche and straight out of like a Nicholas Sparks novel or something like that, but truthfully, that would be what I would say to myself. It's way more important to get invested in people's lives than it is to have them as a viewer. You know, I would much rather take 10 quality people watching that I get along with and we all have a great relationship on, than 20 people lurking and having no relationship with them. And having no opportunity, or not even reaching out to them and saying hi and investing in their lives. To me, it's way more important those relationships you build than the viewers that you have. You never want to have people just filter in and out because you're not connecting with them. I think it's something that I would stress to myself at a very high level, that you absolutely have to make these people feel like they're worth $1 million, because they want to, they're taking time out of their day to be with you, and you have to understand that they could be anywhere right now and they chose to be here. So to be thankful for that and to engage with them and to build that relationship is more important than anything, I would argue.
Nice. So, what do you do as a hobby when you're not live on Twitch? What do you do when you're not in front of a camera or influencing others and you have your own me time?
I play video games. I know that's probably the it may seem like the obvious answer, but I do play video games. My wife and I also like to watch a lot of TV shows. We're always looking for something to watch, so we typically do that. Something I also do is if I have the funds for it or if I have the time for it, I will also dabble in custom mechanical keyboards. I like the customizability that keyboards give you nowadays, and how many options you have with keycaps, key switches, cases, PCBs, hot swap, all that kind of stuff. Mechanical keyboards has been a hobby that I've really adopted over the last couple of years at a high level. It's very expensive, unfortunately, and it's very, very much based off of the group buy. I don't know if people are familiar with group buy, but essentially you sign up to buy something and then it gets shipped God knows when. But a lot of times they sell out very quickly, and it's like a limited quantity type thing. So unfortunately, the keyboard community has that going for it. But yeah, I would say keyboards and tinkering and trying to figure out the best, because to me there's nothing better than a keyboard that feels very good to type on and game on. So I'm always tinkering and trying to mod it and expand on it and make it better. So yeah, keyboards, I think if I'm not playing video games with said keyboard, I'm tinkering on it and making it better.
Awesome. So, Harvey, how hard did you get to where you are right now from when you started over on Twitch? Like, did you ever see yourself being a popular influencer when you first started?
No, I didn't. I'll be honest. I struggle with self-confidence quite a bit, and it kind of references back to the points that I made earlier, which is when you feel alone, when you feel like you can't connect with anybody, your self-confidence takes a giant hit. And sitting in front of a camera and just being myself in front of somebody, if you would have told me that I would have had 5 people consistently watching, I would have said, you're full of it, dude. There's no way that anybody's going to sit down and pay attention to this guy. Like, they could be anywhere right now with anybody, and they chose to be here with me. There's no way. And seeing where we're at now, there's no way I would have ever pictured it being here. It's just one of those things that I never thought I never thought that I had even the confidence to do it, much less make any sort of impact on anybody's life.
Nice. So, why didn't you see yourself making an impact, or when you started? Did you not believe in yourself?
Yeah. I mean, there was no belief there. There was no belief. There was no self-confidence there. It's that thing where everybody feels differently when they look in the mirror in the morning. Some people, they feel very confident. They feel very, very happy with where they're at. For me, it was like you turn on the Twitch camera and you look at yourself and you think, there's no way this is gonna happen. There's no way. And I think part of it too is it comes from a mindset as well. When you're early on and when you're streaming, most people are not gonna start off with a lot of people watching, unless you came from somewhere or you have an audience somewhere else that you're bringing in, or you're incredibly lucky. And there are people that strike luck all the time on Twitch and get big very quickly with seemingly the same amount of effort that somebody made when they have less than 5 viewers. But when you're early on and you don't have people watching besides maybe family or friends that are chiming in occasionally in chat, your confidence, it doesn't do anything for your confidence either. So if you're starting off with low confidence and then you have low confidence from the fact that nobody's there, because I think some people paint the picture like streaming on Twitch is this easy thing where you pop on the camera and then suddenly thousands of people are there watching you. That's not the way it works. So for me, not having that knowledge before I started either and getting discouraged very easily off the start affected my confidence and essentially destroyed any sort of optimism that I had right off the bat.
I see. So let's do one more question, and let's do your bonus menu. All right. So
okay,
what's something you've never thought you would overcome or do, either on Twitch or in your personal life, that you've actually done without even knowing you've done it before?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Sorry, I'm getting my screens rearranged for our next segment here, but it's I mean, I never would have thought that building a community would happen. I mean, finding legitimate friends in a community was something that I never thought would happen. There's people in the community that I bond with on a daily basis, and we share stupid memes, we have little inside jokes, and we talk on a daily basis. And to me, if you'd asked me 2 years ago if I was going to have that, there's no way I would have said yes. So to have that nowadays and to have that tight-knit community where I have friends that care about me and I care about them, I just never would have thought that would have happened. And to see myself be able to grow through that and gain confidence and gain a sense of camaraderie and get in a good headspace to the point where I can be a positive influence on people and have a positive outlook on life. Because before all of this, there was not a whole lot going for me, and there wasn't a ton that I was happy about. So I wouldn't call it a mental low, because I've had lower, but it was a low place that I was at. And I would have never thought that I would have got out of it. But through the help of this community, through the help of genuine friends and people that I've got to know over the last year plus, it's been tremendous. So I have them to thank for that. And you guys, if you're watching, I love you very much. You guys make a huge impact on not only myself but everybody around you. You guys are incredible. I mean, the amount of love and support that we see on a daily basis in our Discord and our live streams, it's something I will always be thankful for.
Sweet. Yep. That's always like, I wouldn't say it's a big thing most influencers such as you and me will look up to, but it's something rewarding. We feel like something we how do I word this? Something that's rewarding that somehow I don't know how to say this. I'm speechless.
Yeah, no, I mean it gives you the warm fuzzies. Like,
Yeah,
like the fact that you get to be a part of it is so humbling. It's flattering that people allow you to be a part of it. It's the warm fuzzies. That's all I can say.
Yeah. All right, let's do this bonus menu. Do you want me to send you the menu, or do you have it?
I have it.
Awesome.
I always have menus because I'm always thinking about food. So, all right, let me get it up here.
Awesome. Awesome.
Probably be black for a second. I don't know if it's there or not.
Yeah, it's.
Maybe I'll just share my. Let me try it again. Discord, I don't know why Discord is the way that it is, but a lot of times streaming and playing and stuff, I'll try to do that in the Discord sometimes for community nights, but it just doesn't work like it's supposed to. I don't understand why they don't fix some of these issues.
There we go. It's working.
All right. So how do we want to do this? Do we just want to go right down the line and cover everything and see what's there?
Let's go with only burgers and a couple beverages.
Okay. So, first of all, In-N-Out. Have you ever had In-N-Out before?
Many times, yeah.
Many times. Okay. First of all, let me ask, how do you feel about it?
I love it more than any other burger chain.
Really?
Yes.
So somebody's giving you one burger for the rest of your life. You're picking In-N-Out?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. I will soften the blow a little bit and try and neuter what I'm about to say, but I think In-N-Out is highly overrated, and it sucks to say that because you like it so much, and that's a terrible thing to say to somebody who loves In-N-Out so much. But yes, In-N-Out. So here's the deal. For me, In-N-Out I think has great burgers. I'll say that. They have fantastic burgers. The fries, on the other hand, leave a lot to be desired. I think the fries are just
I can agree with that. Yep.
So you've got what is your go-to if you're going In-N-Out?
My go-to burger.
What do you get?
Protein
well, like
style.
what's your go-to meal?
Protein style double with everything on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can agree with that. I will say, people knock protein style, but I think protein style is I'm not always in the mood for a bun or bread in general, so having it without the bun is nice. So yeah, the double I'll always get a double. I feel like one patty meat is just not enough. So I don't think I've ever gotten a regular cheeseburger either. I typically always get the double. I'll always get it with no onion, no tomato.
The only reason I don't know like anybody at In-N-Out, it's just too crispy. It's something like your typical McDonald's burger. It's not soft and chewy. It's kind of hard.
Yeah. I don't know if they say it on here, but I believe they toast their buns in a specific way on the griddle. I think they put something on it and then they throw it on the griddle to get that nice like crispy layer. I don't mind the soft bun, and you get this crispy cracker essentially. It's not a pleasant experience compared to say a McDonald's or like a Whataburger or something like that. But are you a cheese guy? You like cheese?
I love cheese.
Cheese? Okay. Yeah, I can't get a burger or a sandwich without cheese on it. I'm a cheese person for sure.
If I had to order my dream burger, it would have to be with extra cheese. No single cheese, just extra cheese.
I can get on board with that. I mean, I I think cheese is great. It's sometimes it can be a little bit too much depending on what kind of cheese you have. I love Swiss and I love pepper jack. Those are like my two favorite cheeses. So if I see that as an option, I'm getting it. The unfortunate thing about Swiss cheese is that a lot of times they will pair it with like a mushroom and Swiss sandwich, which is kind of unfortunate because I don't like mushrooms. But if I can get Swiss cheese, then I'll get Swiss. But any type of cheese is good cheese. I'll say that. But
American cheese. And,
I don't know what it is about their
fries.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, American cheese and what's it called? It's not Swiss cheese. Pepper jack cheese. Both great combination together. Maybe with a little fries. You know, it's amazing. You were saying about the fries?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't. What do you? So you agree with me at least somewhat that their fries aren't great. What is it about the fries that you don't like?
It's too hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
I like my fries soft. You know, not
Okay.
Their fries are kind of like over well done.
I don't mind a crispy fry as long as it's a good fry. To me, In-N-Out for some reason, they're just, I don't know if it's the potatoes they use or if it's the method of frying, but they always just come out extremely underwhelming compared to another restaurant chain. Like for me, like Five Guys and Wendy's are my two favorite fries from chains. But for some reason,
Fun fact: I never had Five Guys.
really,
Yeah.
Five Guys is excellent. You should try it sometime. If you have one close to you, you should try it sometime. I won't hype it up too much. Personally, it's my favorite burger fry combo out of any place that you can go to. Excuse me. Carbonated water was not a good choice here, so I keep burping so much. But yeah, I would definitely say that Five Guys to me is the best burger fry combo you can get out there, in my opinion.
I mean, we
But,
have lots of Five Guys near me. I believe the closest one is like five minutes away. But yeah, In-N-Out's
Okay.
my go-to for burgers. Do you like protein style?
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind protein style. I usually don't get it just because I forget most of the time. And sometimes the lettuce, it depends where you go. If you get a protein style somewhere, you know, more places are adopting the protein style burger, but it just depends on the type of lettuce they use. Sometimes they use the lettuce that is real flimsy and doesn't really work well with a burger. And two, when you're putting a hot burger on a cold piece of lettuce, sometimes that can cause problems too, and it can make the lettuce real soggy and kind of nasty. But if you're using iceberg lettuce, like the type that holds up and is kind of crunchy and is made for sandwiches, I think that's good too. But I'm not against a protein burger at all. I think, or protein style, that is. It's a healthier option for people who want to avoid the bun. That's for sure.
Why don't we talk about their secret menu?
Okay. You mean their not so secret menu according to their website?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you can get double meat, which has the description: 2 100% American beef patties, hand-leafed lettuce, tomato spread with or without onions, stacked high on a freshly baked bun. I mean, it's double meat. Wouldn't that just be a double-double? I don't know.
That would be a double.
I don't know. Yeah,
I
I don't
mean-
know why that's on here, but
Have you had their Napoleon
Apparently-
shake? Oh, it's the all three
I have not,
shakes.
no.
No? Ah, very good combination.
no. Oh, the Neapolitan shake?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I've never had that before, but that sounds amazing. Being a fan of Neapolitan ice cream as probably one of my favorite flavors, I think that that would be delicious. But apparently, if you want to, you can get 3 patties or you can get 4 patties. So I don't know who needs 4 patties of meat on a burger, but listen, you do you. I'm not going to judge. That's a lot of meat on one sandwich.
I didn't know this, but they have a grilled cheese.
Yeah, it looks to me, the picture makes it look pretty sad. I can't really tell because it's kind of covering up. It's kind of covering it up a little bit, but it basically looks like the burger without the meat to me, because it's got lettuce. Looks like it's got lettuce, onions,
Wouldn't that be called the
tomato,
vegan
and
option?
then there's special sauce. What's that?
Wouldn't that be called the vegan option?
Probably. I mean, that's what that looks like to me. You know, it looks like all of it minus the meat. So yeah, that should be the vegan option, but for some reason they've called it a grilled cheese. Now, if it was 2 buns and just cheese, then there you go. That's a grilled cheese. But this to me is like grilled cheese deluxe, essentially.
Now, let's say you're the CEO or founder of In-N-Out. What would you add to your menu, to something new to your menu?
I would change the fries. I know that that's kind of a cheat answer, but I would completely rethink that fry formula. It's there's just so many consistent complaints about In-N-Out's fries that they have to have heard them by now. And if I'm the CEO, I'm taking a hard look at it with my food chemists, whatever you want to call them, the people that come up with these items, and telling them, hey, listen, our fries are terrible and people hate them. They're causing outrage everywhere, and we need to change something now. So let's take a look. Let's get our best spuds together and let's make a good fry for once.
I would add a burger
I think that's all they're
burrito.
missing, really.
I would add a burger
What's
burrito,
that?
like a double
Burger
burrito. Yes.
Okay, I can see that. You know, I think it was McDonald's. They had the Big Mac wrap. It wasn't a burrito, but it was a Big Mac wrap. But it was just basically a Big Mac cut up in a wrap style. So I guess that would be kind of like that, but probably if you put a burrito in there, I don't know. Are you gonna put rice in there?
No, just a whole burger just
No?
transformed into a burrito.
There's a burger and a burrito. Okay.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a pretty small burrito without any filling, but I guess you could fill it up with lettuce
lettuce, tomato,
and maybe some diced tomatoes and onions.
yeah, mayonnaise, cheese, beef, maybe some carrots. I don't know.
Yeah, you could probably pull off something like that. Just add it to the secret menu. I feel like somebody would order that.
So, what's your go-to item from In-N-Out?
It's probably got to be a double with fries and a drink. I don't really think I stray from that too much if I'm going there. Now, the one thing I do appreciate about In-N-Out, places like In-N-Out, places like Five Guys, they're burger joints that offer a pretty simplistic menu when it comes to it. So there's not a whole lot to choose from, but sometimes that can be a blessing if you don't really know what you want or if it's your first time there. So for me, when I walked in, the first thing I saw was a double, and I said, "Give me that, please, with the fries and a Coke, and I'll take it."
So let's talk about In-N-Out's least expected to-go items, like their coffee, their tea. I believe that they serve tea. Do you think they should remove all those items they don't sell as much?
As a general rule, I think most restaurants should do that. There's going to be people out there who are diehard champions of those beverages, but if something's not selling and if something's not really making a whole lot of profit on a menu, then I think you should absolutely get rid of it. Because like we were talking about with like NASCAR, if you're having to spend more money on extra machines, cups, lids, and water in general, and making these beverages, and they're not really making you that much money, what's the point in having them on the menu?
Yeah, I agree with that. So go ahead and walk us through to your menu, the things you do on your Twitch. So like, give us your insight and walk us what you do.
Sure. So for those who don't know, or if people are here from outside of my stream, once a week, usually I'll take a look at a menu, and it is either picked by the community or by me. We have a menu suggestion section in the Discord, which is great because then I can just kind of pull from that and pull up the menu. It's got to be online for us to look at it, so that's kind of one of the only stipulations. It doesn't have to have pictures, but pictures are preferred because it kind of gives us a visualization of exactly what the items are. How it started, real quick, was Taco Bell. Myself and our lead mod Warden were actually just talking on a stream, and we pulled up Taco Bell's menu just on a whim, just to look at it, because I thought, it'd be funny. Somebody strolls in here while we're looking at Taco Bell's menu. It's going to be funny. So we looked at it, and then we just decided, let's make this kind of a semi-regular thing that we do like once a week, once every other week, something like that. And whether it's picked by the community or picked by me, I'll go through pretty much everything on the menu just to decipher it, to talk about food. Because I've said this before on stream, but the like, if you're talking about music, TVs and movies and food, those are pretty relatable topics for anybody. So if you're in the just chatting section and somebody pops in and you have food up on your stream, then you're more than likely gonna be able to bond with pretty much anybody over food, because we all eat food, we all have opinions on food, and it's pretty easy to discuss. So yeah, I'll typically just walk straight down the menu. However it's listed, I'll just go that way. So I'll typically just talk about their burgers if I've had them before. I typically try to choose places if they're from my personal menu stock. I'll try to choose places that I've been to before, so I can either recommend stuff or advise people against it, because sometimes there are things on menus that you don't want to get that may look good on paper. So yeah, I mean, I'll usually just cover, they've got the double, they've got the cheeseburger, they've got the hamburger. And as I mentioned to you, with the fries and stuff, this is something I'd probably hit on. And my big issue with my big issue with In-N-Out is that their fries aren't that great. I've got Five Guys on the mind. I'll probably have to get some later. But I'll typically hit on these things. And if they've got interesting items, I typically like their not so secret menu. I'll typically click on this and kind of divulge, what's here, and have, sort of talks about if the things here are necessary and what interesting items they have on here. So it's pretty straightforward when we do it, but I think we have a really good time. Because like I said, food is something that a lot of people, everybody consumes. Everybody has to eat, everybody has to sleep. So if you're talking about, music or food or movies or TV, typically you're going to be able to bond with pretty much anybody. So it's a very nice icebreaker to the stream. And sometimes it's a nice end to it if we decide to do it afterwards. So it was never something that I intended on doing, but I'm glad that it's happened. I'm glad that it's here now for us to enjoy on stream.
Yes. So that was a good segue. Now let's go to our last few questions before your speech.
Okay, sure.
Yes, I'm gonna stop watching this.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and stop streaming. There we go.
All right.
That'll
So
work.
so what's the biggest achievement you've gotten, or you feel like you achieved during the biggest just chatting stream you've got or have done?
I think crossing into double digits was as far as average viewership goes. I think that was a huge thing for me, because it was, again, something that I've mentioned before. I never thought I would have achieved, never thought I would have even got here to double digits, and yeah, here we are, streaming to, we're at an average of almost 20 viewers now, which is crazy to me. And that may sound like a minuscule number, but again, it goes back to the fact that each one of these people has decided to spend their evening with me. And I know a lot of these people, and I talk to them almost on a daily basis. So a lot of these people who are here watching mean a lot to me. And to have forged that friendship, to create this community, and for all of us together to create this community, to me serves as a humongous achievement. And what we've created here, and the compliments that we've gotten from people who just wander in on a stream on Just Chatting. They say, how wholesome we are and how welcoming we are. And it's kind of shocking to hear things like that, because it makes you wonder how toxic and how unwelcoming is the internet nowadays for somebody to go to a Twitch stream. All I say is, hi, how you doing? How was your day been? How's your week been? Just kind of small chit chat questions just to get the ice broken. And they see that as welcoming and wholesome. It speaks to kind of the toxic nature of the internet nowadays, where people don't really have safe spaces anymore to go to share opinions, or to just have discussions or discourse within their own communities. So to me, I think the as diplomatic and as cliche as it may sound, I think the community we've built is a humongous achievement, and I wear that badge with great honor. And I'm supremely humbled by all the members we have that participate in everything we do.
Nice. So, where do you see the Twitch culture going in the upcoming years? Do you still see that toxic communities you said still being here, or do you see everyone being more humble and more opening to maybe the LGBTQ community, maybe more opening to people being, special with special needs? Do you see the Twitch community being better than they are right now?
It's a tough subject to look at, because the whole basis of why I do this is to be welcoming to anybody from all walks of life. Doesn't matter who you are. That goes for anybody. To try and predict where Twitch is going to go is a difficult thing to do, but My hope is that it does. Do I see it that way? I really don't know. I don't know. It's kind of a non-answer, but the thing is, and the reality is, there's always going to be toxic people out there. There's always going to be, pardon my French, there's always going to be assholes out there who choose to be that way purely for the enjoyment that they get out of making people angry or just harassing people online. It's the sad reality of the internet. I feel like it didn't used to be like this way, at least from my experiences when I was younger being on the internet. Certainly, I remember some old multiplayer lobbies back in the days of Halo 3, Call of Duty 4, back when I first got into online multiplayer. The toxicity was pretty high, but it never reached the heights that it is nowadays, where you have people harassing people into exile, essentially, which is not what we need happening. If we're trying to create a safe space for everybody to coexist and have their own flavors on life, why are we doing this? My fear is that this is going to send Twitch to the point where it'll get shut down, or people will start leaving, and reprimandations will be handed out, and essentially you're going to ruin a good thing by being toxic. I think it's what a lot of people don't realize. While it may be hilarious to them to come on somebody's stream and say, you know, why is your nose so big, or why are you ugly, or say something highly inappropriate that I can't say, they don't understand their impact on streaming. Now, typically when a troll comes in, I'll just let it roll off. I'll delete the message, say, hey, we don't do that here. If it happens again, it's a ban. I don't really give them the attention. I don't give them the time of day, because if you do that, if you feed into that, then that's part of the problem too. You know, you need to let these people know that nobody cares about what they have to say if they're a troll. You know, at the end of the day, we want to love these people and we want them to feel welcome. And I want people to come in our community and feel welcome. But if they're going to act that way, you're not helping this humongous problem that we have. So I guess it's really just up to the internet as a whole, and it's up to Twitch themselves too, to monitor this behavior and understand when bans need to be handed out, different changes to terms of service. Do I know what those changes are? Really, I don't. I'm not somebody who looks to give suggestions on what they should do. I just know that there are problems out there. I just don't know how to fix them on a massive scale, because they're so big. The problems are so big. And to try and think about ways to fix them makes my brain hurt, and quite honestly makes me very sad, because again, this should be a place for all of us to come and get along and have fun together under the banner of video games or chatting or common interest, but it's just not in most cases. So I don't know. It's probably going to take, if I had to guess, it's probably going to take people at the top level of Twitch in terms of the content creators themselves. Probably going to get them. It's probably going to take them taking a step outside of their comfort zone and saying something or making a stand against some of these atrocities, so that we can all benefit from a greater culture than the one that we have now. So yeah, it's a very sad issue that we're in this position right now, but we just all have to work together to try and solve it ourselves. Because it's pretty obvious to me that people at the top of these companies don't really care about that. They care about the bottom line and making money, which may seem controversial at times, but in all honesty, a lot of it's the truth, because you don't see changes happening unless there's a giant outcry or they start losing money. So again, I don't claim to have all the answers. I can't even begin to try and fix this humongous problem, but if our little part of the community can be a bright spot here and be a voice of reason and a safe place for people to come and feel welcome and happy, then that's all I can do. And that's I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what you just said, because the whole reason, I'm just going to give you a little brief explanation, but like the whole reason I left YouTube is because the whole live streaming platform isn't the best. And once I switched, like a couple, like 3-4 months later, many of the big top content creators kind of exposed YouTube and told them, hey, this is wrong, fix this and fix that, and they actually listened. So they lost money because many of them switched over to Twitch, and now they're coming back, and now Twitch is kind of doing the same thing and kind of fixing their own system and everything. But what I feel is like that Twitch is just worried about the TOS and what content creators cannot do and can do, like the DMCA. That's also another big issue with you and me. Like as content creators, we can't express ourselves as we want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, DMCA is a huge minefield, whether it would be video or music or audio. It's a big problem that we have to worry about. We talk comedically about Wide Larvae, so I had to change the song for Wide Larvae from the original Wide Putin song to Bowser's theme, because Bowser's theme does not get DMCA'd. Everybody, including myself, was hugely disappointed about that. And the fact that you're coming after smaller people who are just having fun and aren't really using their music in the wrong way, I guess I could say. I can't really put words together to describe that, but you're not really using it in a toxic way. You're just trying to create something and have a little bit of fun. But here comes again the big bad corporations who own the rights to these music pieces and are working with Twitch on these things, are coming after you for it. And it's very sad to see that. And I don't think they realize the impact they're making by doing this. But what it's also shown is that people are adaptive. You look at people, love him or hate him, Harris Heller, who is the founder of Stream Beats, who makes copyright-free music that you can play on stream. Also, an artist that I particularly love called The Midnight put a post on their Instagram when all this DMCA stuff started happening. They said, "Hey, if you want to use our music, go ahead. We don't restrict people from using it, no matter how they use it on stream." And I think that's great that artists and people who are also content creators are out there in support of these DMCA claims and are trying to create a free space for good music to be shown and good video clips, stock footage, what have you, to be shown on stream without these content creators feeling like they always have Big Brother with their hand on their shoulder saying, no, you can't do this. When in reality, we're just trying to have fun. We're trying to have fun and create something nice, but it's about money.
Yeah, it's definitely a big issue. So your last couple questions about, again, Halo. You mentioned that previously. So what are your current thoughts on Halo Infinite and the new Halo games coming out soon?
I'm affected by hype quite a bit. So I try to stay away from it if I can. And I try to stay away from other people's opinions. It's one of the reasons why I try to avoid movie and game reviews, with the exception of reading fan reviews or like Steam reviews on games, because I don't want to waste my money on stuff if I don't have to. So with the game not being out, with it being a little bit, I can't remember the release date of it. I believe it's later this year, but obviously I'm a huge Halo fan. Halo was one of the first-person shooters that I ever played back in the day when I got my original Xbox. It was such a formative game for me over the years in terms of shooters and experiencing a game differently, because I never played a game like Halo before I played the first Halo, and experiencing all the games since. You know, Halo had a big misstep with Halo 5. I thought Halo 4 was good. I know a lot of people may not agree with that, but I thought Halo 4 was good. It was a solid game. It introduced great multiplayer mechanics, and the story I thought was great. Halo 5, on the other hand, was not that. Halo 5 had a great multiplayer suite and still does, but the campaign was just not great. It was mediocre at best. Had some great characters and story elements, but when it culminated together, it just didn't feel like Halo. I loved the character of Spartan Locke. I loved, obviously, Spartan 117, John. But and I also love Nathan Fillion's character, which made an appearance, who was, he was Gunnery Sergeant. He was Sergeant Buck in ODST, and then they moved him to a Spartan in Halo 5. So I really liked the fact that he was there. But outside of those few things, there just wasn't a whole lot of redeeming qualities in Halo 5. So to me, they've got big shoes to fill, and they've really got to do it the right way and make a lot of people happy with Halo Infinite. Do I think they can? I don't know. I really don't know. They've had a good game and a bad game, so it's up in the air whether or not Halo Infinite is good. And although I wasn't really that disappointed by the E3 footage that they showed, which I know a lot of people were making memes about it and how bad the graphics looked. For me, it just looked like another Halo game, which I'm fine with. I wasn't really that disappointed with it. It's more so how the game plays and how the story plays out. So those are the important parts for me. But seeing some of the clips from multiplayer that have came out of the last week or so, because they've revealed a lot more about Halo Infinite, I'm impressed with what I see. I haven't played it. I don't know for sure if I'll enjoy it, but I like a lot of the mechanics that they've employed. It's funny because I see a lot of people complaining about the time to kill in Halo, and I'm wondering if these people have never played a Halo game before, because Halo is not a one-shot kill unless you're playing SWAT. So you have to get through the shields and you have to shoot people in the head if you're going to kill them. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. People are so used to Warzone or Apex Legends where the time to kill is relatively small. Halo is old school in the fact that you have to put a lot of bullets in somebody to kill them, and you have to balance a lot of different things. So I really hope it's good. It needs to be good for Halo's sake, for 343's sake, for Xbox's sake. Xbox, the big complaint the last several years has been that they have no good exclusives. So for this, if Halo knocks it out of the park, then I think that's a win. It's a huge win for Xbox and 343 and Halo. But if it fails, it could show huge implications for the franchise and could possibly either be discontinued after Infinite or could possibly move to a new development team, which I think is never a good sign. I yearn for the days of Bungie Halo, and I hope that someday we get all of our dreams come true and they come back to making Halo games again. But if they don't, then here's hoping the future of Halo in different hands is good.
Nice. So I think you kind of answered this question, but like, what are your thoughts on the Halo evolution over the years and the graphic quality over the whole saga?
Yeah, I think Halos have had a relatively good evolution. I think, especially Halos 1 through 3, each one of them made significant strides in gameplay and story, and the overall feel of it. Each one. Halo 4 was a bit of a I won't call it a step back, but it didn't feel as good as it could be. As much as I loved Halo 4, just didn't feel as good as it could be. But it was definitely the prettiest game they made, along with Halo 5. Halo 4 and Halo 5 were beautiful. I mean, the facial animations, the motion capture, the cutscenes were incredible. The gameplay wasn't quite up to snuff, but it was still good. And I feel like I keep forgetting to mention it, but Halo Reach with Firefight, that was Bungie's last outing as the Halo developer. That was also great. Halo 3 ODST was good. I think the natural progression between Halo, the Bungie series, I'll put it that way. If you go from 2001 to 2011, whenever Halo Reach came out, it made a really good progression. The last couple, unfortunately, have kind of stalled out a little bit, but I'm hoping that Halo Infinite is a big step forward for the franchise, and I hope it's a good step forward that everybody likes, and it gets people excited about Halo again. Because to me, a series that's as close and as formative as Halo was to my heart, I hope for nostalgia's sake that Halo continues to be good, because we really need it to be. Honestly, we need diversity in the gaming landscape. And as much, I know people are leaving Warzone nowadays because of all the controversies and all the cheaters and whatnot, but we really need those good games that can compete with the top dogs like Warzone, because Call of Duty's been at the top for so long now, and I think they've got complacent. So we need a game to take a step in the right direction in terms of progression, like Halo Infinite.
Yes, I agree with that, but like, you might not agree with me, but Fortnite is still the the highest game out there besides Warzone.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I haven't played Fortnite a long time, and I feel like a lot of content creators are focusing on Warzone rather than Fortnite. So that's kind of like, I wouldn't say I'm blindfolded to that, or I just haven't paid attention to Fortnite in so long, so I don't really know a whole lot. I don't keep my finger to the ground or my ear to the ground to kind of focus on that pulse. But yeah, it's crazy that Fortnite's still around and still making a lot of money, and is still getting, I mean, they're getting a Suicide Squad character pack here soon, which is wild to me that they're still getting these giant content updates. I liked Fortnite, so I owned Fortnite, the game, the physical disc, when it came out in 2017. So the base building game that they promised us, I owned that, and I played it for a little bit, and then they never updated it. Really, they didn't do that much. And then they added Battle Royale, and then they never came back to the base building stuff. So I was always a little bit, I had a chip on my shoulder when thinking about Fortnite, because I feel like they kind of deserted us founders, if you will. The people who bought the game, not on the premise of a Battle Royale, but a premise of a base building game. I don't know I really don't know why they deserted that, but Fortnite's a decent game. It's just that the building to me it just doesn't compute in my brain, and it's crazy. You can have the angle on somebody from football fields away. One shot on them, if it doesn't kill them, they're building the Eiffel Tower in the matter of seconds. And there's just not much you can do to compete with that, and I'm just not skilled enough to match that. So I gave up on Fortnite a while ago. But like you said, it is crazy that Fortnite is still as popular as it is to this day.
Yes. So we reached the ending of the podcast. It's now time for your speech at the end. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, if any of you out there are watching or looking to get into content creation, it's something that is quite lucrative. Anybody could do it. I mean, really, if you have a PC or a capture card, well, both actually, because you need to stream it. If you have those items and you have a webcam, you can get on Twitch today if you wanted to. Some consoles like Xbox and PS4, I don't know about the new consoles, but it's easy to stream from those consoles directly to Twitch. So again, anybody can do it. If there are people out there who are doing it as a hobby, that's awesome. That's cool. That's great. I mean, we need those hobby streamers out there that just play it for fun and play it to have fun with their friends. But if you're looking to do this full time, I see a lot of non-advice out there, and it's very frustrating to look at it because I feel like people are not addressing big issues. For a while there, it was all about the whole like rise and grind aspect where you get up, you'd stream 8 hours a day, and you do that for 5 days a week, 7 days a week. And it's so unhealthy and people get burnt out so quickly. So if there's any advice that I can give to those out there who are trying to do this, whatever level you're at, I would, the one piece of advice that I will tell anybody would be build the community. Focus on that first and foremost. I worked a job at a car dealership that I hated. My boss, actually our entire boss, was a spreadsheet guy. So he had Excel spreadsheets with numbers. He was a numbers person. He loved looking at numbers, and he loved judging performance off of numbers. The problem is that the numbers don't always tell the whole story. And he would only look at the numbers. He wouldn't care what you had to say about it. He wouldn't care what lower management had to say about it. He only focused on what is the bottom line? What is this pie chart? What is this bar graph? What do the statistics say? There are a lot of folks out there who get discouraged when streaming because just like I did at the beginning, they look at the numbers. They look at their follower count, their subscriber count, their viewer count. They look at them as numbers. And as the bar graph and the creator dashboard tells you, it tells you exactly how many people watched your stream, subbed, followed on any given night. The issue is that so many streamers fall into looking at the numbers and forgetting that those numbers are people. And I mentioned this kind of earlier, but if I could expand on it, it's highly important for you to invest in your community, invest in your people. It's just like friendships. If you only care about having a lot of friends, you're not going to have very good friends. The whole idea is you'd rather have a few, at least for me, I'd rather have a few tight-knit friends that I can get along with than have a ton of friends that I have nothing in common with and just share we just share a room together occasionally just so I can get some social clout. It's not the right way to go about life. It's not the way to develop relationships. A lot of people who are viewers or who are streamers are just looking for people to get along with, and not a lot of people realize that. So if you're streaming and if you're wanting to have an effect on people's lives, and if you're wanting to grow your numbers organically without paying, because I think paying is a very slippery slope when you look into it, if you're wanting to build those relationships, you have to invest in your community first. They're not numbers, they're people. They could literally be anywhere. They could be binging a Netflix show, Amazon Prime. They could be watching countless other YouTube videos or other streamers. And if they're taking the time to chat with you and spend an evening with you, however long you stream, even if they don't stay for the whole thing, if they take the time out of their day to spend with you, you should look at that as an opportunity to build a relationship with them. And it's extremely flattering, and you should understand that they could be anywhere, and they chose to be here with you. That's very important, and it should be very flattering and humbling for most people. And it just isn't for some reason. I see a lot of people just glaze over follows, donations, subs, even just viewers in there chatting. Do not do that. Don't do that. You're slapping these people in the face. with the fact that they're spending time with you. So for me, what I had to learn was these people are here of their own volition. Make it worth it. Build a relationship. You never know what could come of it. Some of these people I play with regularly, whether it be Call of Duty Black Ops or Hunt Showdown or Rocket League or Overwatch, what have you. I've made friends I've made friendships that I cherish dearly, and it enhances the experience, and it creates a better community experience for everybody. And if you're willing to talk to people, to share personal issues, if you're there to kind of support each other, builds a tighter community. There's no tighter community than one that supports each other and one that loves each other. So again, my one piece of advice, no matter what stage you're at in streaming, some of you may be quite big, some of you may be small, some of you may be starting out. Focus on the people, not the numbers. The numbers are not important. It's more important that you build those relationships with those people and build a strong community, because there's so much toxicity out there. There's so many people out there who are just straight up trolls or out there to make your life miserable. If you can create a safe space for people to be, trust me, they will want to come back. You'll want to be there too. As a streamer, I want to be there. I want to be with my community. It's a great place to be, and I love being there. And if you build those relationships, if you create a safe environment, a place that's free from toxicity, there's no promise that you won't have disagreements with people, but it's important to have those disagreements healthily and grow from it. And if you can have that all in one place, then it's great. Your life's going to be better. Everybody's life's going to be better. They're going to want to be there within the community. They're going to want to be with you. You're going to want to be with them. It's an endless cycle of positivity. And again, I don't want to paint this as the perfect picture. Like, this is the key to be the biggest streamer ever, because streaming is such a nuanced thing. There's not one thing that I can tell you that's going to make everything perfect. If you focus on that, you have a good base. But outside of that, it's a lot of research, and it's a lot of learning what to do, what not to do. You don't want to be like everybody else. You can take things from certain streamers, and you can go around and watch other streamers or content creators or what have you, whatever you are out there. You can watch these other people, and it's important to pick and choose what you take from them and kind of build inspiration off of. But at the end of the day, they're coming there to watch you, not watch anybody else. So you have to be unique. You don't want to just be imitating everybody else. But yeah, it's such a complicated world out there, streaming. I will never dissuade anybody from streaming at all. I know that the Twitch subreddit loves to do that. They have toxic positivity and negativity over there, and I would say stay away from the Twitch subreddit. It is just a place where information is not spread. It is a bunch of people spouting opinions that aren't really the basis of things. So if somebody was to come to me and ask me if they should start streaming, I'm not going to tell them no. But there's a lot of caveats that come with it that could take hours to explain. But it's a very complicated thing, and if you want to do it full time, it takes learning what it takes to do it full time, rather than just jumping on the computer and starting playing a video game. You've got to do a lot of stuff. But focus on your community. That's a good base for anybody who wants to get into content creation. And it's a good way to enhance both your life and your community's life. So I hope that mindset will positively affect somebody's life. But at the end of the day, all it really needs to do is help somebody out who's in a rut. So I hope that was good. I hope I hope that helps all of you if you take anything from it. But it's helped me tremendously, and I have a lot of life experience to back that up. So it may not work for you, and if it doesn't, I'm sorry. But if it does, then you've got a good base for you.
Awesome. Well, Harvey, thank you for being on the What the Hell Are We Doing podcast, episode 32. If you guys want to check him out on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, all his links will be in the description in his link tree down below. Anything else you want to say, Harvey? What's your URL, and where can we find you on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/HarveyLarvey. Thank you so much for having me, Albert. It's been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate it. Very humble that you invited me on. And it was great experiencing it with all of you. I appreciate you watching my ugly face here on the camera. Hope to see you guys here soon. And yeah, it's been a great time. So twitch.tv/HarveyLarvey is where you can find me. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, we play a lot of stuff and we have a lot of fun, and we're free from toxicity. So if you like that, then stop by sometime. We'd